Good evening, guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is Coach DC from All 22 Films. We're going to take a look at one of Drew Petzing's best play calls from the Lions' 17-13 win over the Commanders in preseason week 2. I'm, of course, talking about Josh Dobbs' 50-yard touchdown run on a zone read concept on the third possession. Now, the first two possessions, really ugly, obviously. You have a strip sack by Amik Robertson that results in a touchdown for Washington, and then the interception on the second drive by Josh Dobbs, probably an ill-advised throw over the middle. I'm going to pause it right here for a moment at the all-22 angle and just identify three players. The boundary side outside linebacker, Joshua Josephs, rookie. Boundary side inside linebacker, Sonny Styles, also rookie. And then the boundary side safety is spot shadowed or magnified in the top right portion of your screen. One of those three guys has to be responsible for quarterback. Someone of those three has to take quarterback. Someone chase down the line of scrimmage and or try to scrape over the top in the case of Styles to go get the running back on a give. There's no strategic response here from Washington that indicates they may be looking for or anticipating a zone read concept. In addition, what makes this really cool from a Petzing perspective, in my opinion, is that he added the tight end here. So what it does is it widens this edge defender, Josephs, up a little bit more. Imagine if Conklin were not here. If Conklin were over on the right side of the formation, then Joseph's feet would probably be somewhere in this direction. Now, it doesn't make the read necessarily harder for Josh Dobbs, but I think it clears it up some from the standpoint of how wide Joseph's is and how declarative he has to be for this particular angle in his response. So basically, it's happening slower because of the distance, the extra or additional distance that's been created by Conklin's alignment, number one. Number two, Conklin is able to go get the boundary side inside linebacker, Sonny Styles. Saw a lot of criticism of Styles for the way that he plays this. Styles is not the read man. The read man is the edge defender. So if you are going to utilize this reaction as an edge defender, outside linebacker, then someone, Styles, the inside linebacker, needs to possibly be ready to scrape exchange this, because what you're doing functionally with the edge defender in this response here is you're forcing a keep read. So if you're going to force a keep read, then someone has to play the quarterback. In addition, since the safety flies over the top too, in fact, the safety has no awareness of where the football goes. I think the safety is number 3. Ironically, Washington had 2 players, number 3, in this game, one of which was Stephon Diggs on offense, and one of which is this boundary side safety. I don't pretend to know who that is, to be honest with you. So, in any case, because all 3 of those guys, well, 2 of them definitely, Josephs and number 3, are playing the running back, Styles is occupied and or blocked by Conklin. Yes, it's possible that Styles should play this block here. It could be his fault. It could be the boundary side safety, number 3. In any case, it ends up being a 50-yard touchdown run by Josh Dobbs. You know, a truly entertaining first 3 possessions from a Detroit perspective. Not productive offensively for the first 2 drives, including the interception, like I said, by Dobbs, that I think was an unforced error. 4-man rush from a Washington perspective. Now, we're going to pull this back for a moment and go back to the all-22 angle and pause it at the moment in time whereby Dobbs is reading the edge defender, Joshua Josephs. Like I said, he's the rookie from Tennessee, because there's another layer to this, and that's the safety, the boundary side safety's reaction here. He's going to cross the midline and totally lose the football. When you're facing an option team or an option concept, you got to have responsibility alignment and responsibility reactions. Okay, so there's no responsibility reactions definitely by these 2, and it's entirely possible that Sonny Styles is somewhat at fault here as well. But credit to Detroit, number 1, for the play call, and number 2, for the job that the boundary side receiver does. Even if the boundary side safety, let's say, comes downhill and then runs the alley in between this corner and these 2 defenders, Josephs and Styles. Even if that safety takes that angle here, the receiver to the boundary has done a good enough job, in my opinion. I think it's Tay Martin. He's done a good enough job to allow Dobbs to pick up the first down, and that's the point, right? You're not calling this play to score a touchdown, even though that's how it occurred. Here's the boundary side safety. I mean, he's still looking for the football. It seems kind of funny, but that's what the option game can do, is it can confuse the defense, especially if they're not prepared for it. Now, will Drew Petzing be calling this in the regular season? No, right? Jared Goff is not going to keep it on option concepts. However, this was in the moment, in the preseason week 2, in a situation where the offense was really struggling, I thought this was a fantastic play call. Certainly not going to be a part of, like I said, the regular season calls from a Jared Goff perspective. Nonetheless, a really great look from a formational standpoint. The fact that Petzing added Conklin over to the read side, allows that read man, Josephs, to be widened up a little bit. And let's just pretend for a moment that Josephs had the opposite reaction. Instead of running down the line of scrimmage, which forces a keep read for the quarterback, let's pretend for a moment that he radically went upfield, which would force a give read. Well, that's even better, because now the tight end has widened Josephs up completely, and he has a very low percentage chance of playing a factor in that give to the running back at all, before the running back can pick up the first down. But in addition, because Conklin is on the backside there, he can block Styles, and that almost opens up a third pathway for the running back, again, on this theoretical give that would be forced by the opposite reaction from Joshua Josephs. So adding that tight end, into the boundary there, widening up Joseph, letting him be an additional blocker at the point of attack, I think reveals another layer, or perhaps two, that is somewhat similar to the layers that, or the elements that Ben Johnson used to add on to run schemes or pass plays in Detroit before he moved on to the Chicago Bears. In any case, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section. I was in the middle of a video on Jackson Meeks, and it was, to be honest with you, a little bit overwhelming because he had such an impact with 3 tackles and 4 catches, including, I believe he had the catch on the 4th and 3 conversion by Altmaier with about 5.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, but I haven't got to that play in particular. I decided to pause that because the production time was going to take significantly longer than it was to put this out right here. You guys let me know what you think of the video in the comments section. Appreciate you guys' time.